No, there's a lot of you that have asked me to send you the replay, and that's all good. But yeah, so I only ever bring you people. Like, I don't really do affiliate for people anymore. Like, I think Danny Wallace from the Big Festoon might be the only person I've ever affiliated for. But instead of doing affiliates, what I do is I partner with people that have made my life easier and that I know are good at what they do. And so that's why I bring you masterclasses like this. So this is a joint thing that I have going on today, and I can't wait to introduce the person that's going to be giving you this masterclass. And don't worry, I'm here to answer your questions as well. At the end, I'll be there to answer your questions. I'm going to make over 3 million with this 120. Yes, loving that. We'll send the replay to all of you, so please don't worry. We will do that anyway. Okay, so why have I got you here today? I've got you here because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was never a fan. If you've been following me for any length of time, you will know this. I was never a fan of awards. And that's because when I was in the wedding industry, I saw many people basically buy their own award. I don't know how to say that in any other way. They were just buying their own award. They were only being able to win if they came to the awards dinners and that kind of thing. It felt a bit sleazy. And I saw quite a lot of people win things that have never actually done a wedding. Now, when I came into this kind of entrepreneurial world, especially the online entrepreneurial world, I saw a lot of that again. And so what I did is I got scared and I went, I'm never going to do awards. I'm never going to do it. And I could see that awards were helping people. I could see how it helps people's marketing. I could see how they were making more money because they were having awards and being able to say they're award winning, but I was too scared to do it. Yeah, you've seen it too, right? I think a lot of us have seen this. And then I met Sophie, and I was just really honest with Sophie, because Sophie helps people to win awards. She helps people to know which awards to go for. And she helps people with all sorts of different ways of getting PR and marketing. And so I said to Sophie what I thought. I was like, look, I'm not a lover of this whole award thing because I think there's a lot of room to be unethical. And to my surprise, Sophie agreed. She was like, yes, there are definitely ways that people are being unethical. And that's why we have to make sure that people know about the really good ones. People know about the awards that actually will help. You know, there are people like Stephen Bartlett that have won awards which have made him go on to be really, really successful, and people know about him. So to test this out, I decided to enter one of the biggest awards in the UK, and that is the Great British Entrepreneur Awards. And that's the awards that Stephen Bartlett won. And so I was like, if I'm going to test it and like going for my very first awards, because I turned down awards nominations on a daily basis. I turned down one this week because I didn't feel that it had the diversity requirements that I need in an awards kind of awards thing. Let me just mute everybody. Hold on one second. There we go. And so I thought, well, this one I know is good because I know people that have done it. I know it has a rigorous process. I want there to be a rigorous process. I know that the application isn't easy. I don't want it to be easy. I want it to be something that I feel like is real. And so that's what I did. And I basically got Sophie to help me to write an amazing entry. And it worked. And I became a finalist of the very first awards that I ever went for, and they were one of the biggest awards. So I was really pleased. I was a finalist out of thousands of people. I was one of 8. And so that was brilliant. And I loved my whole experience. And I could tell just by the whole way it was being done that it was definitely in integrity. There was nothing dodgy about it. And so I trust Sophie to give you this information because being a finalist has really helped me. I didn't win, by the way, which I like even more because it shows it's not like a you can just buy your way in kind of thing. But I will try again with that awards because it was so rigorous and I really liked the process. And it helped me because I was able to put that I was a finalist, and I was in some newspapers, and I had a lot more media. I also got to meet tons of people who were also people at the awards who were nominees, and I've done business with them now. So it can help in lots of different ways, not just being able to say award winning. So without further ado, I'm not going to keep you very long tonight. This isn't going to be one of those 90-minute masterclasses, I promise you. Sophie is going to talk to you about the 5 things you really need to know if you're going for awards. Afterwards, we're going to have a little Q&A for you as well. And also, if you want to start winning awards, Sophie and I have teamed up to bring you a mini course that we think is going to be able to help you do that. Well, we know it will because we've put all the information in it. So we will tell you about that at the end of the masterclass as well. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you to Sophie. So Sophie Milliken, MBE, she is a founder of a company called Moja, who I've used. It's an amazing company, and it's not, it's fairly new, a couple of years old. It's not something that's been going for ages, but it's become very established. Sophie herself is award winning, and I know that she's helped so many people with integrity and ethics to become award winning businesses. So Sophie, I'm going to bring you on to, there we go. There's Sophie. Hi, Sophie. Welcome. We're very excited to hear from you. I'm still letting people in, but I'm going to continue to do that as you start. So I'm just going to share my screen and unspotlight me, but maybe you can start by just talking about who you are.
Sure. Are you popping the slides on?
Yeah. Hold on.
Awesome. Okay, so Lisa gave me a fantastic introduction there, so thanks very much for that, Lisa. And I will touch on how Lisa and I met in a little bit more detail, because that does bring life to life, the magic of awards, I think, even more. But just a little bit about me to get things going. So can I just flick on to the next slide? There we go. Awesome. A little bit about me. I look really glamorous in this picture. I love this picture with my hair all done. It's not my flat Sunday night hair, but I do love that. My contact details are on the screen there. I'm very sociable. If we're not already connected, I would love to. But just a little bit about me to bring to life the context as to why I know so much about awards now. So I set up my first business about 12, 13 years ago now. It was a graduate recruitment and employability consultancy. So we used to design big assessment centres and assessment processes for companies like JP Morgan, AXA, M&S, Expedia, really big brands. And we also used to do a lot of work with students to help prepare them to get graduate jobs by running mock assessment centres in football stadiums around the country, where we put hundreds of students through this a day. I set that business up with a co-founder, Simon, but a couple of years into the business, Simon decided to leave, and it was literally me running this business. I had a few associates at that point, but it was me running the business on my own for from that point onwards. Now, one of the things that I started doing at that time was starting to enter awards. It was never a strategic plan. There was no thought behind it. It was quite scattergun, if I'm honest. But it became more planned out the further along that I got with this plan. So I started looking at awards that were local to me. I started looking at awards that were industry relevant awards, and I started applying for them. The business started growing alongside this, and we weren't always successful with getting those awards. And I'll mention a bit more about that in a moment. But alongside that, I was doing all sorts of other profile raising type activities that put a spotlight on me and therefore the business. It was an accident. This wasn't a plan at this point. It was just a case of me being really enthusiastic about running the business on my own and saying yes to all these brilliant opportunities that were happening. And what I found was there was this snowball effect of saying yes to one thing and it leading to another thing. But alongside that, it was awards that I think were really, really key to blowing up all of this visibility that I got. So let me tell you a little bit more about me and awards in more detail on the next slide. So we have some lovely pictures of me looking super, super glamorous on these pictures. So like I said, in those first few years, I didn't win everything that we were going for at all. But what was really helpful about going for awards was that I could get feedback about how the entry had gone. I could reflect on where my business was at and where it needed to go. And it was good practice. Fast forward a couple of years, and when I got to 2019, that was my year. I literally won everything that year. It was so exciting. I remember the first award I won, which I think was this one where I'm wearing this gold sparkly dress to the left of the screen there, and just feeling that excitement when they started reading out all the reasons why this person had won, and thinking, oh my God, this is me, and getting up and shaking on my way up to pick up the award. But that year, and that picture actually is from the Best Business Women Awards. I also won the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, which Lisa mentioned just before. And they really are fantastic awards because there's a category for everyone within those. And they are just so well known. And in fact, great timing that we're running this masterclass tonight because they open for entry tomorrow. So really good timing. The year that I won the Great British Entrepreneur Awards was super cool because they used to do this regional winner thing. So that year I won Northeast Entrepreneur of the Year. The year before, for our region, Sarah Davies from Dragon's Den, she won for the Northeast region. So it was following in her footsteps the year after. And it was the last year that they did a regional winner. And that means that I can now call myself Northeast Entrepreneur forever. So I take great pleasure from doing that. A couple of other awards there as well. Obviously, Lisa mentioned that I got an MBE. Obviously, it's a bit different type of award. It's not something that you enter or that you win as such. It's something that you're awarded. But I'm pretty sure that the people that put me forward for the MBE would have included my award wins within that. So it probably helped to be offered that. The other picture there on the right-hand side with the champagne and the award win, that's the most recent one. So Lisa mentioned Moja's only a few years old. So now I can kind of go back to entering awards again for my new business. And I'm looking at things like startup awards, which are obviously more relevant to the business at the moment. And we won the National Startup Awards last year for Best PR, marketing and advertising agency. So that was super exciting, and we're off the mark there with this business. So as Lisa said, Moja's only a couple of years old. I did sell that first business, and I think that having awards, you know, we'd entered something like, or we'd been finalists or won around about 40 awards by the point that I sold that first business. Awards, particularly when they belong to the business, become assets of that business. So I believe that they had value when I sold that business for sure. So like I say, I've now got a different awards strategy for the current business. And I'm also a judge for a number of different awards as well, which is super fun and has its own benefits too. Let me tell you a little bit more about some client wins that we've had. So Lisa mentioned obviously that she was a finalist in the Great British Entrepreneurs last year. So that was amazing. So a couple of stats on there. They're slightly out of date now actually already, because we had some really big wins last week where we had 2 clients win at the Northern Power Women Awards, which we were really chuffed with because they are very competitive awards indeed. And we had a client who was shortlisted for 4 awards for his particular industry. So we've got all our fingers crossed, hoping that he's going to be successful in a couple of months' time. So we've had, you know, literally every award going. You know, we've done national awards, we've done regional awards, we've done industry awards as well. And I think the key thing is it's getting to that point of being shortlisted. It's not always being focused on the win, because all we can ever give you any guidance around is putting your best entry forward, and that's all your control is putting your best entry forward. You don't know who you're up against, and when you're applying for awards that are great quality, which I hope that you do after today, you know, it's out of your hands at that point. So you should be able to put forward an award that is giving you the best chance to get shortlisted and give you, you know, a great opportunity to hopefully go on and win that award as well. So let's move on and start looking at some of these steps to becoming an award-winning business. So step 1, and again, Lisa has touched on this around some of the less ethical awards, really, really important to do your research. There are some seriously scammy awards out there. So that's the first thing, is you want to avoid all of the scammy awards. Ways that you can work out if awards are scammy. And it'd be interesting to know whether any of you have had experience of this so far. It might be that you receive an email from some random company or some random person, I see a yes there, where it says, hey, you've won this award. And it's usually the most random award ever. So it'll be, you know, like most innovative, for me, it might be most innovative PR person in the northeast of England in 2024 or something. So random. And the way that you can tell that this is a scam is it's really random. You haven't entered, no one's nominated you, and they're asking you for some money. And the money will be for a trophy, or it might be to go into some magazine that you've never heard of. And that's how you win the award. There is usually no award ceremony, so that's a sign of a scam as well. You're just literally paying for this cheap trophy. So stay clear of those. Ways that you be able to pick out if they are more credible awards are you've heard of them. So these are when you're doing your own research. So if anyone's approaching you, I'd immediately be a bit dubious, but you can look into them. So you'd want to check, have you heard of them? Have you heard of the judges? So you look up the judges. Are these credible people who've come from sensible, credible, proper businesses? What about previous winners? Have you looked up who won last year? Did they exist last year? Because if they didn't, that again could be a sign of a scam. So look at who the winners are and think about whether you would want to be associated with people like this. So they are ways that you're going to be able to tell whether something is scammy, okay? The other thing, which is a bit of a grey area, is around paying for a table. Now, you shouldn't have to pay for a table to win an award. So for me, that would be a sign of a scam. However, if you get shortlisted, you'd probably want to at least get a ticket for yourself and maybe a friend or a member of your team. So that wouldn't put me off, but it shouldn't be criteria of having won the awards. And if we think back to the GBA example, you don't have to buy anything to win their awards. And in fact, there were people that had won awards on the night who weren't there, and other people went and collected their awards. So to find the right awards for your business, something you might want to do is actually have a look at someone that has a similar business to yours, who's maybe a few years ahead of you. What awards have they won? Is there anything that's standing out that they have won over the last few years? You might want to look at local business awards. So things like Chamber of Commerce awards, if you're a member of them, or Women in Business awards, if you're a woman in business, or industry awards. So if you're in the hospitality business or any industry at all, there will be some sort of institute or body or whatever where you can look up and see what kind of awards they have. And then obviously you've got national awards as well. So really important that you do spend some time doing some research, because if you complete the entry yourself, it's going to take a lot of time. It's like doing a job application. You don't get much luck if you send out 100 job applications, but if you send out 2 or 3 and they are the ones that you've spent the time on and they are good quality, you're more likely to get through to the next stage. So the same thing applies here. Okay. Step 2, avoiding common mistakes. So really, well, it's not an obvious one actually, but applying to the wrong category can be something that I see quite a lot of, where people apply for the wrong category, and where there are lots of categories, sometimes it can be quite hard to work out which one's for you. So again, when you've been doing your research and perhaps you've identified, competitors or people that are further ahead, you might want to look at those categories. However, a bit of a top tip here, you could always get in touch with the organisers and ask them to suggest a category. It's in their best interest to get more people entering the awards. So ask them, because they will probably help you with that. But just make sure that you've read the criteria for that award and that you do meet all of the criteria. Otherwise, your entry is just going to get discarded straight away, if not. The next mistake that I see quite a bit of is people not answering the question. So you quite often see people that have completed award entries that answer the question that they want to answer rather than the question that they're being asked. And the questions will give you a clue, and some of them might even have the criteria listed. So again, going back to that job application analogy, it's thinking about, does your answer hit all of that criteria? Imagine if someone's marking it, have you put something in that example that reflects all of the criteria that you've been asked? Mistake number 3, typos, proofreading. You know, you see a lot of typos and there's no excuse for that these days. You can easily pop it into Word, run it through a spell check. The thing that I do see a lot of is people that have cut and paste the wrong answer into the wrong, or the wrong answer into the wrong question, or people that have put the same answer into a couple of questions. And it's so frustrating. And actually, when that's happened to me, I always get back in touch with if I'm judging it, I get back in touch with the organizers to say, oh, I think this person's made this error. It'd be great if you could get in touch with them and get the right answer into the right place so that I can score it properly. But who knows whether they're going to do that, because the reality is some of these awards will get hundreds or thousands of entries and they just want to keep it easy. So don't fall for that mistake. Make sure that you're checking everything off when you're doing it. And if you're doing it far in advance of the deadline, then you've got loads of time to check these things in any case. Mistake 4 is lack of supporting evidence. So quite often, and again, read the criteria, it will tell you that you can submit whatever evidence alongside it. So it'll probably give you some guidance, but it might be that you can submit links to things, or you can submit attachments or photos, could be all sorts of different things. What I quite often see as a judge is people being given the opportunity to submit supporting evidence, but not taking it. So if I'm judging a category and I've got, I don't know, 50 people to look at in that category as an example, if only 5 of those have added the support and evidence, then they're going to be at a bit of an advantage straight away because they're able to put more forward, because usually you're going to have word counts, which limits how much you can put forward for each of the questions. So in my opinion, you'd be mad not to take the opportunity to add the support and evidence as well. And then that brings us to mistake number 5, not using personal stories. So something that I often see is an entry where it could literally be anybody on this call. It's so generic, nothing stands out whatsoever. It becomes a bit boring, if I'm honest. The ones that stand out are the ones that use personal stories. Now, I know that you will all have an amazing business, and you'll probably all have a really strong why as to why you started that business, what your purpose is, something that makes you unique, something that you would be using if you were selling to a client, for example. So it's really important to weave those in. And I'm not talking necessarily about having a sob story. It's not, it's not the X factor, but something that brings your business to life and shows it being you as an individual or you as a business rather than anybody else that it could be. So that would be a mistake that I do see a lot of. So one not to make. So let's move on to how to craft a strong entry. So some of this we've kind of covered actually in terms of not making mistakes. So again, just really important to read that awards criteria really carefully and choose the right categories. So important to get those categories right. It might be that you decide to enter more than one category because you usually can. Again, read the criteria to check if that's the case. Another thing is not to submit the same entry for every category. So if you're entering 2 or 3 categories, make sure that you've looked at the criteria for each of those categories and that you've tailored your application accordingly. It's worth having a look at the judges as well. So, we were saying that's a good thing to do when you're researching at the beginning to see whether it's a credible award in the first place. But it might just give you a bit of a clue as to what the judges would have an interest in. So if you have a judge that's really interested in sustainability, for example, and they talk about that a lot on their socials or in their bio, you might want to include a bit more around what sustainable practices you have within your business. Or if it's someone that is really into, I'm trying to think of some other examples, but it might be a really strong woman in business who advocates for women a lot. So can you be talking about perhaps how you've helped women in business? So things like that, just have a little look and see what clues they give you, because although they're going to have criteria to follow, they are also humans, and you do warm to stories and to great examples that resonate with you as a judge. Next one is to gather the evidence for those award entries and include client testimonials if that is relevant to your business. So it's a good idea to maybe start thinking about the kinds of evidence that you can collate in advance of entering the awards, because you can find that it takes a while to put these things together. So have a think about things that you might want to gather and use for future award entries. And within that, client testimonials. Now, you might already be doing surveys for clients within your business, or asking them for feedback or a testimonial after you've worked with them. But good opportunity to just kind of gather all of that together and start filing it away in a folder so that you've got it all there ready to work from when it comes to entering the award. And then finally, super important to do that pre-submission check of your awards entry so that you're not making those mistakes, and you're checking things to make sure you've put them in the right places, that you've hit the word count, because you want to do enough words to meet the word count criteria, but you don't want to go over that, because most of these systems are online. They will cut you off. If it's 500 words and you put 504, it will probably cut you off at 500. Or equally, you know, the reverse of that, you've got 500 words, but you only use 200. How are you going to be able to hit all of the criteria if you've not given them enough evidence and enough storytelling? So really important to do those checks well in advance of the deadline, and make sure you get it submitted on time. So you've submitted your entry. You'll then find out whether you've got through or you haven't. Now, if it's your first go, you might not get shortlisted initially, or you might, and then you might not win. So what do you do at that point? Well, my advice would be very much to ask for the feedback, to ask them, you know, what can I do better? What was it about my entry? Now, the further you get through the process, the more likely they're going to give you the feedback, because if you get, you know, if you don't even get shortlisted, you're probably one of hundreds or thousands at that point. But what they might do is give you some general feedback about what the stronger entries had that you didn't have, and you'd be able to pick something out from that. So definitely ask them for feedback. Most award organizers are super friendly and super helpful, because they want you to come back and apply again. They want you to think well of their awards program. So they're going to want to help you. So definitely ask them for feedback. Don't be put off either. If you haven't won, go back again. So a great example of this is, I really wanted to win Female Entrepreneur of the Year at the Forward Ladies Awards. And the first year I applied for that was 2014, I think. Oh my God, like that makes me feel really old, like 10 years ago. And I don't know whether we got shortlisted. I can't remember, if I'm honest. Maybe we didn't, maybe we did. I definitely didn't win. And I literally applied for like 3 years in a row. And each year I got a bit further, a bit further, a bit further. And then I won. And it felt all the more better, because I knew that I really deserved it. I knew what was missing. I didn't have the stats, and I didn't have the stories. We were too early to be going for such a big award. But the year I won, I knew that I'd really earned that. And the great thing about their awards was they did a regional winner. And then when you won that, you actually went forward to a national judging day, and you had to then pitch to this panel. It was so scary. It was like Dragon's Den. And I had there was the guy that owns, or I don't think he owns it anymore, he might have sold it, but he founded that dining card. Do you remember those dining cards? They still exist. You get like 50% off at all these local restaurants and stuff. Anyway, he was called Matt, and he was so scary. And I remember feeling a bit overwhelmed when I went in, because there was this panel of like 4 or 5 of them. But I knew that I had a lot to share, because I'd won the regional round, and I really wanted to win it for my region. I wanted to win it for myself. And I was so well prepared for that pitching day. And I came out of it, again, a bit like a job interview, thinking about that analogy. And I had that really strong feeling that I'd done well in that. And sure enough, when it came to the national ceremony, I did win that. And it was brilliant. I loved it. So don't be put off. Keep going. And as well, it's thinking about the benefits that have come from even getting through to these stages. You know, that initial award entry, the reflections that you're going to have on you as a business leader, a business owner, and also on your business is brilliant. We often get clients that say, do you know what? It was so useful just going through that process and making me think about the business in that way and getting those stats together, because you might be able to use them for other things as well. So super, super useful. So don't be put off. Definitely try again, ask for the feedback, and keep going. You've got to be resilient in business. And this is just another example of where that comes into play. Okay, my final step, promoting your award win, because if you win, you want to do something with it. So we've said throughout this masterclass that actually being shortlisted is brilliant in itself. So if we look at the Great British Entrepreneur Awards as an example, so they open tomorrow. They will be open for entry for about 2 months. They will then quite quickly announce who their shortlist is. So I would imagine their shortlist will come out in June, maybe the beginning of July. Now, their awards are not until November. So you have that time period between June, July, all the way through to November to shout about the fact, hopefully, that you've been shortlisted in your particular category. So you can be putting that on your social media, putting that on your mailing list for your newsletter if you have one, putting it in your email signature as a badge. If you send out proposals or pitch decks to anyone, stick the badge on that. So loads of places that you can put that on. I can see someone's just asking, what does it mean to be shortlisted? So just to be super clear on that, if anyone's completely new to awards, this means that you've put your entry in, the judges have looked at them, and they've identified who the shortlist is for each category. So depending on the awards, they all have slightly different numbers. So some of them might have as few as 3 people in a shortlist for that particular category, whereas some awards might have quite big shortlists of maybe even sort of 10 people or something in between those. So that means that you're a finalist. So actually, rather than being shortlisted, you're a finalist. That is mega in itself, that you're a finalist in this category. So shout about it wherever you can in the run up to the event. You also should definitely attend the event. So most awards will have an awards ceremony or a dinner. As I said earlier, you don't have to go, but I want you to start thinking about beyond the shiny trophy and thinking about those other benefits that you get for attending a ceremony. I recently did a piece of work where I looked back at where most of my where all of my clients for Moja had come from. And I couldn't believe it when I realized that my biggest lead generator was actually people that I'd met through awards. And I don't go to awards to pick up clients. I go usually because either I've been shortlisted or I'm a judge. So I usually get a judge's seat. And I just go and chat to people. You quite often see people that you know. And I've never gone there ever to sell. So it really shocked me when I looked and went, oh my God, like that's where I've got most of our business from. It was really bizarre.
That's kind of how we became.
It is. It so is. So, the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, we're talking about those a lot, but they are topical at the moment. And I did meet Lisa through the GBAs. So we met because they have a fantastic community, and these are the wider events, wider benefits of awards, because they don't just have an awards ceremony. They often have other events. And if you've been a finalist or a winner, you will usually get invited to these events. And the GBAs were running a dinner with Boodles, the jeweler. It sounds so glamorous. And actually it really was, because they had these amazing £1 million rings, didn't they, Lisa, that we got to try on at this dinner. And there was
which I nearly ran out with, but they had security over every door.
They were impressive rings for sure, but there were maybe like 50 people in that room, but all incredible business owners, like a really interesting mix of people, and it was brilliant networking. And Lisa and I met before the dinner because I was meeting my friend for a drink, and she's friends with Danny, who we were talking about earlier as well from the Big Festoon, and I knew Danny, so we decided to go and meet you guys for drinks before, and then we got chatting, and this is how tonight has come about. So it's just brilliant for those networking opportunities. And I think you've got to remember that that should be part of your awards strategy, to make the most of those networking opportunities. Because if you just go for the dinner just to get a bit pissed with your team or your friends or whatever, that's fun, and there's a place for that, and you can totally enjoy all of that. But if you just stay with the people that you're not maybe going to realize some of these wider benefits. And I think that was something I was guilty of in those early years, where I just didn't think of it. And it's only now that I've seen those benefits that I approach it really, really differently. So that's definitely one of the benefits. So if you win the award, then amazing. You're going to have some fantastic pictures, like some of mine earlier on in the lovely outfit collecting the award. So amazing. You're going to have all of those. So pop that all over your socials. You can say you're award winning. Something that I've noticed on social, so LinkedIn's the platform that I'm most comfortable with. whenever I've posted about winning an award, or whether a client's posted about winning an award, they get so much love for winning that award. And, you know, we often hear about people getting grief on social media and people being nasty and things. I've not seen that around awards. So maybe I've been fortunate, but I do genuinely think that most people on social media want people to do well, and they see that. And certainly in the previous business and in this one, because we've won an award now, people mention it. They see, oh, I saw you won that award the other week. Oh my God, amazing. They all like the post. You then become award winning. You've just got to win one to become award winning, and you have that badge on everything. So people do take it seriously. And if, you know, any of your clients or any of your friends are the award skeptics that Lisa once was, then they're just not going to be interested. So they'll just ignore it. So don't worry about what those kinds of people are going to think, because they'll just disengage. But the ones that get it and the ones that like that, they will choose to work with someone that's award winning over someone that's not. So it is really important. And then the final thing there is just around exploring media coverage. So if it's a big award ceremony, or even like a local one that's got a bit of presence locally, they will probably issue a press release with some winners' photos, and they'll probably list your name in that. So you'll probably naturally get some press coverage just from them issuing one. Now, the other thing is that you can issue your own press release. My word of caution on this would be to add something in a bit more detail around why you've won that award. So the storytelling bit that I mentioned earlier that you would put within your award win, because just winning an award on itself, that doesn't tend to get picked up by the press. So you want to add a bit more, give them a bit more around the storytelling so that they know why you won that and why they should cover that. So definitely make the most of any media opportunities as well. And we've had clients that have won awards that have then been interviewed by, you know, local TV, they've been on the radio, they've been in the press. So definitely milk it and make sure that you get all of those links so that you can put them on your website or share it with your own clients. So definitely lots of ways to do that. So I think that brings us to the end of our step. So hopefully that's been useful for everyone. I hope it's got you a bit excited about awards. I'm a big fan of them. Hopefully, I'm sure that has come across, but there's just so much to go out with awards, and they've made a really big difference to me personally. So I know that they can do the same for you as well.
I was really surprised, because when I have said, like, I don't think that awards will do much for me. As soon as I had finalist in my bio on Instagram, I got offers to go to certain networking events. I got offers to meet for coffee when people hadn't really given me the time of day before. They actually did make a real difference. And people were saying, they actually do choose people that are award winning, which did surprise me. I'm going to admit it did. Remember as well, guys, and I think this is really important, you get to choose which awards you want to go into. So there are certain, I'll come to that in a second with some of these questions, because I'm going to do a Q&A. There are some awards that you might not want to, they might not fit your values for it, and everyone's different. So for instance, I will never enter an awards that is just for women. That's just a me thing. But there are lots of people that want to do that. I want to not be recognized for being the best in women. I want to be the best in all. And so that's just something that I've decided that I will do. And you can get to choose what kind of awards you want. So some people won't go for awards where you have to ask for votes, and that's okay. Some people don't mind that. There's so many awards that you really will get to choose the awards that you want to do. Now, I really want to tell you more about how you can become award winning. And when Sophie and I got together, we wanted to put together a mini course for you. And it was very much like, here's what I would want to know. Like, I just asked the questions that most people don't ask, because when I want to understand about awards and how to write something, I want the truth about what you can do and how you do. Because, you see people who craft these award-winning entries and they win over and over again. And I'm like, what makes an award-winning entry? And so we sat down and I asked all these questions, and we put it into a mini course for you. So, hold on a second. I'm just going to mute Samantha. There we go. So really important things is to know that, first of all, you know what I'm like. I am not going to say you won't win any awards unless you do our mini course. You probably will, but I know that we can get you there quicker, and we can get you not making the mistakes that most people make when they make awards. And I've literally been through the whole of Sophie's mini course. I've watched it all myself and put it into practice. And so I know that it's going to help you. So we put together a course called Award Winning, because it does what it says on the tin. And it's a mini course to help you not only source the right awards, but enter, so do that winning entry and win the awards, because that's what's important at the end of the day. So it's got 5 bite-sized modules. This isn't going to be something that takes you months and months. These modules are like between 11 and 20 minutes long. Like, you will be able to get your teeth into it very quickly. And they are things like understanding how to find the right awards for your business, because it's different for everybody. Creating an awards entry kit that you can keep using over and over again, so you're not constantly having to do lots of work on this. Creating an award-winning entry, so knowing what things do get you over the line in awards, what are judges actually looking for? And then promoting your success when you do get shortlisted and generating the right coverage for it, because that can make all the difference. And this networking that we're talking about, that's what I've got out of everything. I have got more clients just by the networking of being a finalist. And so I want you to use the opportunity as well. And then also, we have a module about becoming an awards judge, because that can open up a whole other realm of opportunities and visibility for you that is definitely worth you thinking about. So we've also got, because everyone always says, what are the awards? Which are the awards to go for in the UK? I need to know them. I don't want to spend hours Googling them. So for anyone that joins in the first 24 hours, we have got a bonus for you. And it's a brilliant PDF of all of our recommended awards in the UK. So the ones that we think are really good and legit and will actually raise your profile. The ones that I believe are in integrity are in there as well. So you will know which ones that you want to go for. The investment of this, it's a straightforward £397. We do have a payment plan, like we always do for everything, of £197 over 2 months. And you get lifetime access, so you can watch it each time you're going for another award, so that you can remember the things that you need to know to get the best chance of winning those awards. So I'm going to do a Q&A with you now, but if you want to join, it's open for a week. It's actually open until Monday, and then we're closing it. It is a one-off like that we're doing. I don't know whether we'll be selling this again. We wanted to go into partnership once to do this. It might go evergreen at some point. It is a kind of done at your pace. So they're recorded modules. It's not live. So if you want to binge watch them all in one day, get ready for the GBA awards that are opening tomorrow. Binge watch them all in one day so that you can get a brilliant entry. So the way to sign up is to bit.ly, normal bit.ly link, award-winning 2024 will get you there. And I'm sure that somebody will put that in the chat. Yep, Karen has already. Right, I'm going to answer some questions. First of all, I'm going to let, I think it's David. Is it David here? Yeah, answer a question. So I'm just going to let you unmute.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great session. That. So I've won an award. I won the national and regional wedding magician back in 2018, and my claim to fame is David Emmanuel, who made Princess Diana's wedding dress. When I tweeted that, he said, "Huge congratulations." So I've screenshotted that and screenshotted the Twitter, and I send out to clients and say, "Oh, by the way, when you want me for your wedding, you can't get a better accolade than that," than himself. But my question is when you've won an award, how long is it that you can keep it on, mentioning to people? Because obviously that was 2018. We're now in 2024. So that's my question. And also, I think people are put off in the UK of going for awards because it's the adage of bragging, isn't it? Again, we're not told to say about how amazing we are. We're told to sit in the corner. That's my question to you.
Sophie, I'll hand that one over to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's so fun, isn't it? Having the screenshot of David Emmanuel. I'd dine out on that forever because I think that's just so fun. So I think you can carry on with that. I think what I would be saying is you should you know, you need a bit of an awards strategy to keep things current. It's the same with press coverage. You can't really keep using stuff from years and years ago without adding to it and keeping it current. So while you can absolutely carry on using that, I would probably try and look to do one or two, maybe a year, just so that you're keeping things current and that you're making the most of those networking opportunities as well. And on your point around the bragging bit, oh my God, like I totally get that. Like, you know, I get imposter syndrome still now, and you know, I've been in business for quite a long time now, and you know, I've done well, to be fair, but you still feel awkward and like, should we be going for this? And what are people going to think? You've just got to park that, as without anything that is going to put you in the spotlight and increase your visibility. You've just got to go for it, because the benefits of doing so are going to far outweigh any kind of nagging thought. And actually, if you were to chat to any of your mates, none of them would think that you were bragging. They'd say the opposite. So it's just about getting the recognition that you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, girls. Have a lovely day. Cheers.
Do we have awards in the USA? So on our spreadsheet, we haven't put USA awards on it, but the information in the course is relevant anywhere you are. There are awards in the USA. It's just that we only know the UK ones. And so the information in the mini course, you still want to enter in the same ways. You'd still be looking for the same things. We just don't have USA ones in the PDF.
I would just add to that, Lisa, in that there's I think 9 resources that come with the course, and they are going to save so much time, because they are going to help you gather the right information and get everything in the place that you need. And that there's no sort of geographical barriers around that. That's still going to be relevant to anyone anywhere.
Do you want to talk through those resources, Sophie?
Gosh, I can't remember without looking at the list, but there's all sorts of things there that are going to help you get this entry kit in place, make sure that you've got the right bits of evidence there. There's a tracker so that you can sort of track various things. I think we've got a press release template in there for, you know, promoting your award success. So there's all sorts of different things in there that are just going to hopefully save you time and get you super organized, so that you're just getting down with the information that you need to submit that great entry.
I love a bonus. Would this cover fitness industry awards?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's relevant to everything. It's all about storytelling and putting strong evidence forward. So it's relevant to every single award. And I think the other point on that actually is, you know, think quite widely about awards. So yes, look at your industry awards for sure, because who wouldn't want to be, you know, best fitness instructor in the UK or wherever it might be. But also think about awards where you're going to meet people that you want to do business with. So if I was a fitness instructor, I'd want to be best fitness instructor in the UK, but I'd also want to win more general business awards, because that's where I'm going to meet people that would probably become my clients or do collaborations with. So think widely.
Yeah, really good point. Okay, I don't think we've got any other questions, but if you do, you can always ask in that strategy group. I'll be in there. I can always ask questions to Sophie. But if you do decide to make an investment for your award wins over the next few years and purchase the course, you will get access now. Like, this isn't something you're going to have to wait for. You'll get access straight away, so you'll be able to start. I especially would say to go for the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, because they have so many categories and they're really known. Stephen Bartlett called them the Grammys of the UK awards for entrepreneurs. You know, you get to meet some really cool people there. I met like Daniel Priestley, Simon Squibb, some really cool people. So I would love you and really invite you to go for those awards. Like, don't feel you have to start small, like go big.
Just on the point of the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, if it's okay, Lisa, I just want to do a little shout out for my Beyond the Bio podcast, because the episode that comes out tomorrow is actually with Francesca James, who owns the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and I asked her some really cheeky questions about the awards and about which locations and which categories didn't get as many entries as others, which might not be useful information, but I'm a huge fan of the GBA, so that might be quite a good episode to listen to if you've caught the awards bug from tonight.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sophie, for giving us all of this information. Thank you, everybody else, for watching. I hope that you've gone away with some information about whether you want to go for awards, what kind of awards you want to go to, and hopefully you'll get more information by buying the course. Is it always a scam if you have to pay? No, not necessarily. There are some things to look for, but we explain all of that in the actual program. Hopefully it will help you. And oh, good. I'm really pleased that you're keen. I think it's going to really help a lot more people get awards and feel like they're in integrity doing it, because that's what's important to me. All right. I will leave it with you. You've got the link there. We will send this replay out to you as well. But thank you for spending your Sunday night with us, and we'll speak to you all soon.